Hey guys, VFX Bro here, and it's great to be back with a brand new tutorial collab/collaboration that I'm doing here with Final Cut King. Originally I was going to do a muscles video and he was going to do a fat person video, but that didn't work out too well, so I'm going to be doing both here, and Final Cut King is going to be doing the levitation video. So at the end of this video, if you want to learn how to levitate an item, then go ahead and check it out on Final Cut King's YouTube channel. But what we have here is a shot of Zach, and we're gonna make him super buff. The shot here gave me a bit of a chuckle when I first saw it, but we've got some great markers here that we're gonna use to add some sweet effects. So we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna grab this Zach shot and bring it down to this new composition we have here, and you can see we have a green screen in the back. The green screen is not necessary, especially for this tutorial, which is going to be the abs, but it is useful when we're doing things like making his biceps, his shoulders, his deltoids bigger. So in order to make someone buff, there's several different approaches we need to take, and this tutorial is going to be running over the abs section. So we're going to make him have ripped abs. Although Final Cut King is naturally pretty lean, the lighting, I don't know, makes it look like he's not that cut. So we're going to add in some abs here. And what I did was I went on to Google and just Googled VFX Bro abs, and I came up with these bad boys. Some fan must have posted them. But we're going to add those abs onto him. And the reason I chose a black and white photo was so that you can see just how easy it is to take a random picture as long as you have similar lighting and a similar angle, and you can add it on to this shot and make it look pretty realistic. I must admit I did feel a little weird Googling abs, but sometimes you got to take one for the team as a VFX artist. So we have the Zach shot here, and we're going to go into Mocha. I have Mocha Pro here open, but you can just use Mocha for AE. And anyone who has After Effects CS5, I believe, and above actually has Mocha. You just go up here and type in Mocha, and it'll show up for you, Mocha AE CS6 or whatever version you have. Oh, CS4. So CS4 is the latest version that you will automatically have Mocha with. So I'm going to import here the shot of Zach, and we just import that there, hit OK. And we made some sweet markers here to help with our track. Technically, his stomach is not a perfectly flat plane, but it'll do the job. And his belly button actually will help with this track. And we're just going to leave all these settings the same and hit track forward right here. So now that this area has been tracked, we're going to click on export tracking data. We're going to select After Effects, corner pin, sports motion blur, and hit copy to clipboard. Go back here into After Effects and use our shortcut Shift Y, or we can just create a null object by going Layer, New, Null Object. Then we're going to select our null object, make sure that we're on the first frame, and hit Edit, Paste. And we've now pasted that data here onto our layer, and that's tracking really well. So what we can do now is we're going to grab this pic of VFX Bro's abs and take our Colorama tool and double click on it with this layer selected, and we're going to go to our output cycle and select ramp gray. Now we're going to click here, bring this down to a perfectly black color, bring this up to a perfectly white color, and now we're going to drag this until we crush our whites so that we are just seeing the line of the abs. So right about there looks pretty good. We can see here in the abs we just have those lines. And now what we can do is hit Command Y, and we're going to select the color. If we zoom in, I'm actually going to zoom in here so that we can really see what's going on. We have the shadows. We can see the color of those shadows, and we're going to select right about there. So we have the solid that is equal to the color of the shadow on Zach's body. We're going to drag this underneath our abs layer here. Select Luma Matte Inverted. So now We have these abs. They are being defined by the Lumamat. With this here, select both these layers together and pre-compose them. So we're going to hit Command Shift C. We're going to call this abs. We actually want to make this composition the size of this. So I'm going to use this tool to select this right here. And I'm going to prop comp to region of interest. Very nice. So now we have this comp here. Shrink it down a bit. And I want to match this up with the shot of Zach. We can see that we have a couple of things going on here. Okay, so I'm going to try and match this up a little bit. We have our belly button right down there that we can match up easily. So I'm going to take our anchor point and attach it to there. And now I can scale this up so that the abs match. We can rotate this around a little bit. Right there, looks pretty good. And maybe we want to make it a little bit skinnier and bring down the chest just a little bit. So right there looks pretty good. And what I'm going to do now is draw a mask around our abs so that we're only seeing the part that we want to add on. So it's going to come around this part, come up here, probably going to fade out right underneath the chest plate. And there we go. That looks pretty bad right now, but we're going to mask this out to help it out a bit. There we go. And now change our blending mode to multiply. And we're going to go here into our curves and double click on that. We can see that we probably want to bring up the reds a little bit. Bring it a little bit closer to his skin tone. And we're going to blur it out a bit because we have this noise going on here because of the way the picture was taken. Original picture was taken, so we can add some blur there. Maybe like 3 would be good. That's starting to look a little bit better. And now we can bring down the opacity. So we're going to bring our opacity down to, let's try 55. And that looks pretty good. We've got some nice abs added in there. If we take off our null object, we can see what it looks like. This is before and after. Definitely some solid definition gained with this effect. And now all we have to do is simply parent this to our null object, and we're going to call this abs track. And if we play through this, we can see that it's sticking on beautifully. Okay, I know what you're probably thinking, and that's probably that, sure, this guy is pretty ripped, but he's got these weird X's on his stomach, and you know, we're not okay with that. So we're actually going to remove the X's, and the way we're going to go about doing that is we're going to create a new solid, can be any color, orange is kind of cool, and we're going to draw circles around these X's. So actually I'm just going to hit Q a couple times, draw these nice circles. And now there's 2 ways to do this. There's the detailed way where we paint these out individually, but I'm going to show you the fast way to do it. It's not quite as accurate, but it'll get the good job done for this specific example. And the reason that I know that is because I tried it before I made this tutorial, and so I know. I'm going to call this the X removal mat. And I'm also going to parent this to our abs track. And now I'm going to select this to be the alpha mat. And I'm going to hit M here, select all of these masks, hit M a couple of times, and we're going to make the feather around 4. And now what I can do here is just move all of this back layer down until it just disappears. Wow, that's pretty cool. It's completely gone. Bam. And it looks supernatural. There we go. All the X's have vanished before your very eyes. And what we can do here now, we have the abs added in, the X's removed. We can see here that Zach does this thing here where he kind of breathes a little bit here. So when he breathes, that's actually when we want to add in our abs. Let's say we wanted to transform him into from some skinny guy into a stronger guy. We could start here, hit T for opacity. Actually, here on our abs, we're going to hit T for opacity, and we're going to select this keyframe, move it a couple of frames forward and then bring it to 0. So now, as he breathes down, you can see it's like he's flexing, and then it gets his abs come in. Pretty cool. Bam. Oh yeah. Okay, so that's the abs. That's the first part. And next, we're going to add in a vein. And I spent some time looking on Google for cool veins, but that just got weird after a while. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to make my own vein so I don't have to Google any more of these images. And so I'm going to show you how to make your own vein. And it's cool too because veins are pretty custom. They go along different body parts. They wrap in different weird ways, as you can see here on Zach's deltoid. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a shape layer. And I'm going to hit the pen tool with nothing selected. Let's say I wanted to add a vein to his bicep right here. I would just draw. Make sure we have our fill selected to nothing. And our stroke, we want it to be black, or you know what, let's make it also the color of Zach's shadow here. Hit OK, and now we can just drag this line. Let's make it 2 lines. There we have our layer. And with that layer selected, we're gonna bring it out just a little bit thicker so that we can see what it's like to add a bevel to this. So I'm going to go layer styles. I'm going to add bevel and emboss. So we have this bevel and emboss. It's just adding a highlight to make our shape layer seem a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm going to go down here to our bevel and emboss, and I'm going to change our angle. And let's take a look at our other veins here. We can see that we have this highlight coming from the top. So we're going to change our angle right around there so that we can see we've got this highlight coming from the top, and below it looks dark. That's fine. And now we can take our stroke width, bring it back down to something a little bit more reasonable. That looks good right there. Maybe 4. There we go. So we have this added in here. And we need to add some distortion to this line vein because, as you can see, veins are pretty squiggly. So we're going to take this layer, we're going to come here, and we're going to type in Turbulent Displace. And we're going to bring our size down to, let's see what 5 looks like. Oh, that was actually a pretty lucky guess. Look, we've already got some vein action going on here. Maybe not so much. Maybe 4. Oh, that's even better. Okay, so 4 looks good for this specific example. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to, you can see that the veins get smaller, thicker, smaller. So we need to add some variation to the amount that our vein is extruding. So what I'm going to do here is hit Command Y. Doesn't really matter what color we have it. I'm going to, perfect, we already have Turbulent Noise here. I'm going to add a Turbulent Noise to this. And I'm going to bring up our contrast. I'm going to bring down our complexity to something like that. And then I'm going to go to transform. I'm going to bring our scale down to, let's see what 22 looks like. That's not too bad. Let's go ahead and multiply this for now so that we can see what's going on underneath. And what we basically want to have happen is we're going to set the alpha of our vein to this layer, but we need this layer to have some variation so that our vein can come in and out. Let's see, something like that might be good. I'm going to take our shape layer and set it to the lumimat of this guy right here. Bam. And there you can see we have this variation that's going on here. Maybe we can go back up here to our orange solid and we can bring up the contrast. Maybe we want to brighten it up a bit so that we see more of it. Something like that. Maybe, perhaps. No? Okay, so we've got that there. And with that vein selected, what I'm going to do is actually pre-compose all of this. And actually, before I do that, I need to track it to the arm. So I'm going to go back here into Mocha Pro, and I'm going to grab this and drag it around these two guys here so that we can track that. And let's go ahead and hit back this time. Oh, before I track, let's turn off the tracking for our first layer. Again, we've got this arm selected. We don't even have to select it because it's going to track whether or not we select it, because we have this tracking button turned on here in the top left. So we tracked his arm here. Scroll through, looks really nice. Export tracking data. Copy to clipboard. Come back here into After Effects and create a layer, new, null object, Command or Control V, whether you have a PC or Mac. And let's go here back to the frame where we wanted this vein added in right there. And now we can track both of these layers to our null object. We're going to call this left arm. And let's go ahead and pre-compose all of this. I'm going to call this left arm vein. I don't know how to spell vein. And let's see how it looks. Oh yeah, that's tracking on. So we'll have our vein appear right here. It's already tracking on, so that's a good sign. And what I can do here is turn this back on and then add it in. We're gonna create some 3-dimensionality here. Oh yeah, and move it up. Maybe not even, just leave it there. So we've got that shiny vein added in there. I'm gonna add a fast blur to both layers actually. So Command Shift, so Control Option Control Y, or layer new, adjustment layer, and add that fast blur to the whole thing. What do we got? We want 2 maybe. Let's see how that looks. That's all right. That's not too shabby. And now let's go to our vein, and let's change these curves up a bit here. It's looking pretty reddish. We want it to probably be a little bit more greenish because veins are nice and green. So we bring up our green, especially on the highlights. Take our red, bring it down a bit. Oh, that's looking kind of funky. Bring up our blue, and there we have our vein added in. That is one vein if I've ever seen it. Okay, and then a real quick trick I'm going to show you here that's kind of cool is we can take our shape layer here and add a quick effect here. I'm going to add this wiggle, and it's called Wiggle Paths. If I take off my adjustment layer just for a quick second here, you can see that it just wiggles it all out a bit. And I can change the size to be something not as drastic, maybe right around there. We want a lot of detail, maybe not that much. And I'm going to change my wiggles per second to, I don't know, let's try 10 and see what that does. So here we have this rapid wiggling of the vein. We go back here. What I'm going to do here is Command D this and make this multiply. There we go. So there we have this vein moving around, just squiggling around in his arm. Pretty cool. And then let's say we want that to pop up right when the abs pop up too. All we would have to do, we want the opacity of this guy to be equal to the opacity of this guy. So I'm going to alt click here on the opacity. It's going to create an expression. We're going to link that expression to this guy. So now if I change the opacity of this, bring it over there, bring this down to 0, hit B so that we can change our endpoint. Now they both show up at the same time. We've got the veins. Now the veins pretty subtle. Of course, you can make it more exaggerated if you so wish to. So we've got the vein there added in. We've got the abs. And Zach's looking pretty savage. So this has been a tutorial on the first part of making a dude look buff, or woman, if you so choose to. And we're going to have a couple more tutorials coming later on, probably next week, on making the biceps, the forearms, the shoulders, the deltoids, making all that look buff as well. And we might even get into some green screening. This has been VFX Bro with another tutorial in After Effects. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that video tutorial. I know with all of the New Year's resolution buzz, there's a lot of stress surrounded with the whole gym thing. So hopefully this tutorial was able to help you out in that area. If you want to check out Zach's tutorial, he's got a sweet floating levitating tutorial here on his Final Cut Queen channel. So be sure and check that out. I'll also have a couple more buff, maybe even throw a chunky tutorial in there. So feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, take care.